Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Journey to Becoming Philosopher Kings. We're your hosts, Olivia
and Karen Greer. In today's episode, we'll be discussing one of the many themes that can be found in Plato's Republic.
And that is, a successful city cannot be ruled with emotion and favor. We will also share with you our favorite passages in Plato's Republic that reflect this theme.
And to help us on our journey, we'll use this theme to expose underlying truths in our government and also observe the current issues of today.
Karen, let's get started by explaining the theme and how we interpret it.
Well, for me, a successful city cannot be ruled by emotion and favor means that a ruler shouldn't be able to make decisions based on what will be best for them personally. But instead, they should make decisions on what brings the whole city the most success. What about you, Olivia?
Well, for me, it means the ruler or rulers of a population should keep an open mind when making laws and decisions for their people. Rulers should also separate their personal feelings about issues from the correct, ethical, and logical resolution to problems in their society. Now that we understand the theme, Karen, which passage would you say most reflects its meaning?
Olivia, a passage that I think really reflects this is a passage in Book 5 on page 133. It says that because our rulers will then have to use a lot of drugs, and while an inferior doctor is adequate for people who are willing to follow a regimen and do not need drugs when drugs are needed, we know that a bolder doctor is required.
Well, how does that passage reflect the theme?
A significant part of what Plato pieces together as a description for a great ruler is that they learn support. In our day, a great example would be Donald Trump. He plays with people's emotions in order to get their support. This section mentions how leaders are forced to give followers drugs in order to follow regimen. Or in other words, they feed the followers falsehoods or pull with their emotions to tell them what they want to hear in order to keep their support. This will lead to corruption and isn't a great characteristic for a leader. What passage do you think reflects this theme?
Well, the passage I chose was from Book 7 on page 191, and it says, "You're forgetting again that it isn't the law's concern to make any one class in the city outstandingly happy, but to contrive to spread happiness throughout the city by bringing the citizens into harmony with each other." I chose this passage because in Plato's Republic, the perfect city is ruled by a true philosopher king. And in this passage, it is expressed that the happiness of the city is more important than the happiness of the philosopher. So he will have to put his emotions to the side to help and rule the other people. The men want to obtain a city that has equality and everyone is equally happy and sharing the benefits of each class. If the philosopher king only wanted to make himself happy, he would not risk giving up what he has or help other people reach the happiness that he has already seen.
Wow, that actually reminds me of another passage I was thinking about. The passage is in Book 8 on page 216. The opening line of the section is that it's hard for a city composed in this way to change, but everything that comes of into being must decay. Not even a constitution such as this will last forever. This section is a perfect example of why America specifically shows that a successful city cannot be ran by emotion or favor. The Constitution was created on the basis of both of these things, emotion and favor, and also can be changed because of the same two things. So far, we say that the Constitution is helping the country come together, but it seems like the more we add to it, the worse off the country becomes.
That is interesting, but I also think the passage is saying that people should keep an open mind because the Constitution won't last forever.
Guess what, Olivia?
What?
It is now time for our segment, How Well Do You Know the Constitution? I'm going to give you 2 sections of the Constitution, and you will have to guess which one the sentence I provide comes from.
Okay, try me. I think I'm pretty confident on this. And those who are listening, please feel free to play along and share with us if you got it right in the comments.
Alright, this is the sentence. Every order, resolution, or vote to which the concurrence of the Senate and House of Representatives may be necessary, except on a question of adjournment, shall be presented to the President of the United States, and before the same shall take effect, shall be approved by him, or, being disapproved by him, shall be repassed by 2/3 of the Senate and House of Representatives, according to the rules and limitations prescribed in the case of a bill.
Ooh, this is tough. What are my choices?
Your choices are Article 2, Section 2, or Article 1, Section 7.
Well, I know Article 2, Section 2 is about presidential powers, and Article 1, Section 7 is about passing bills. And I think I'll go with Article 1, Section 7.
Congratulations, you got it correct. Great job, Olivia.
Thank you. And if I'm not mistaken, all the answers to this segment of our game have to do with our discussion today.
Yes, you are correct again. Article 1, Section 7 of the Constitution explains how bills are passed through our government to become laws. Through the process, the bills are voted for by the Congress and either vetoed or approved by the President.
Oh, and I see. It allows for multiple people to agree on the bill and rule out the favor of one person or group of individuals deciding the laws that should be followed by all citizens.
Exactly. It was the best contender for our game today. I can't wait to see if our listeners also got it right. Also, Olivia, I believe you had another passage to share with us.
Oh, yes, Karen, I did. The passage I wanted to share was in Book 3. The men established that the guardians of their city will also be censored through music. The music the guardians will listen to only promote bravery, battle readiness, and help with self-control and focus. For most people, music sparks emotion and feeds their feelings. It is understandable that the men wouldn't want their guardians listening to music that distracts them from their purpose. But I also have to disagree with him here. Music today helps to promote issues in our society and bring awareness to things happening in our politics.
I also was reminded of a passage in Book 3. It said that through censoring children, they do not see evil things and are able to judge between familiarity and the unknown way better. When they're older, they will be able to decide between the two, since their lives they've only experienced the good. There will be little thought that determines if something is unjust or the opposite of what they learned is wrong. This method of letting children learn what evil is creates better rulers.
Yeah, so I guess it eliminates the emotion of fear and makes a better philosopher king.
I'd agree.
I also had one more part of Plato's Republic that I guess goes with the children. It's around Book 5, where Socrates explains how reproduction amongst the guardians will work, and that the members of one generation are all the parents of the next. The animosity in the parent-to-child relationships eliminates favoritism in the society. Parents will not try to make their child the best of the best while leaving the others behind. I think this is a good example of eliminating favor in the society.
I see where the connection is from, and hopefully our listeners have learned something from our interpretation of Plato's Republic today.
I do too, and if not, they'll understand from our next segment of this podcast. Can you help me introduce it?
It is Girl, Get Out Your Feelings. In this segment, we're going to discuss current events and think as true philosophers to see if the lack of society's progress is because of emotion or favor.
The first topic is very popular. Although talk about it has died down, it is still an important issue of today. It is the national emergency to fund Trump's border wall. Would you like to tell us how our theme was observed in this current event, Karen?
Well, while following the national emergency, we observe how the Congress works with the president and his cabinet. The House of Representatives tried to pass a resolution to the emergency instead of giving the president his funds. According to an article written by Washington Post, some of Trump's allies and constituents influenced Congress to vote against the resolution, favoring the president's plans and power over what's good for the people.
That is very interesting, but I also read that some Republicans voted for the resolution so future presidents do not misuse the power of declaring a national emergency. How do you think the split of opinions in this party was halting the success of society?
To me, too many people were in their feelings. Citizens should be able to agree with leaders that take a more ethical approach to resolving situations. If they disagree with one view of all the many views they share with their party, they should acknowledge the difference and stand for what they think is right. After all, don't we, the people, vote for who represents the people?
Well, actually, I have to disagree with what you just said. And that brings us to our next topic of discussion. Some of the people, do not even get out and vote, which I believe causes those in power to make policies that benefit themselves and not all of the population they represent. But the blame is not solely on the individual citizens. I have learned that there are bills being passed and voted on to prevent certain demographics from voting and discouraging citizens from participating in the voting process. In regards to this issue, I think our success is being halted by favor.
That is so sad. That makes me think we are not functioning as a successful democracy if we do not have our citizens participating in elections and influencing the passing of bills and policies that will affect our everyday lives. If anything, I hope our listeners take away that it is important to stay updated or involved in politics. Most of us will be able to vote in the next election, and we should all be participating. If we tune into our emotions instead of listening to the candidates, we may miss out on new policies and ideas that we may actually want to know more about.
I agree. Our minds have to be more open to evaluate which candidates have the most policies that are for the good of the people and do not...
Wow, this is a lot to take in.
Yeah, I know. We had a lot to discuss. And I hope our listeners will leave questions to ask us. Also, they should comment events they want us to talk about in future episodes.
With that being said, we're your hosts, Karen Greer
and Olivia Greer.
And this was the first episode of Journey to Becoming Philosopher Kings. Thanks for listening.
Bye.